Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry. Today's video is going to be my overview of the Void update for the month of May. We got 3 new Void battles, a slew of normal and limited endeavors, and a bunch of new weapons to discuss, so we'll be talking about all of that in this video. I wanted to go ahead and bring this out before some of the other videos I have planned for this week, just because this is more timely, and I'm going to be showing off 3 pieces of gameplay while we discuss the new Void battles. Hopefully by playing these solo, you can enjoy the battle, get to see some of the mechanics, and in the meantime, we'll discuss everything about the update. So first up, we have the Gust Shroom, which I'm taking on using UA. This is a new Wind Void boss with a required might of 9,000, and basically it's a reskin of the Light Element's Wandering Shroom. They varied its attack patterns a little bit, but pretty much it, and the other 2 Void battles that came out today and yesterday are just reskins of existing ones. So it's not a bad thing, but there's not a strong incentive to play these battles as they are on the weaker side, and the weapons that you can craft using materials dropped from them are not especially useful either. Basically, once you clear each of these 20 times for your limited endeavors through the end of the month, I would just suggest stopping on clearing these. So as far as the Gust Shroom goes though, it can inflict sleep, and once it enters overdrive, it disperses into multiple smaller shrooms, the others of which are of the flame element and can inflict burn. So it's a pretty neat and fun little mechanic, but really you can just brute force this for the most part, and you shouldn't have any problems using a flame adventure. Honestly, even if you're lacking sleep res, the main thing that could hit you with sleep would be that disperse move that the boss uses when they enter overdrive. As far as weapons go, from defeating the Gust Shroom, you get materials that can be used to craft light weapons with Copy Punisher, which isn't really relevant right now just because there's no light Void battle where copies or clones are an issue. Now, I will say this battle does present a challenge if you want to get the timed clear or the special epithet, the special title, that goes alongside it for completing it in 15 seconds or less. So for that title, I definitely think you want Shapeshift Prep on all 4 adventurers. That's going to give you 40% total to start off the match and give you access to your dragon as soon as possible in that battle. Besides that, for your other worm print, you want the print that's going to let you deal the most damage you possibly can. Sometimes it would be something like the Chocolatiers, where it gives you skill prep of 100%. That's actually great for this if you have it, just because firing off skills will lead to a higher amount of damage and front load your damage at the beginning of the fight. Now, in my case, when I was able to clear, we had 3 teammates with Cerberus, and she's pretty much the best dragon for this, since she can deal damage while debuffing enemy defense. That defense down is going to help you shred through the Shroom's HP and hopefully get you that title in time. It is still tough, and it took several tries to get it to work. Alongside 3 team members with Cerberus, I played the role of Maribel. The reason I think she works well for this too is because she has a skill damage co-ability. She has skill prep of 100%, so she can fire off 1, 2, or even 3 attacking skills with the right weapon to start off the quest. And one of those skills, her Save the Day, her first skill, has a chance of debuffing enemy defense. So that makes her pretty effective at this, and you can also transform into a dragon like Pazuzu, which is what I did, to debuff the enemy defense even further. In our clear where we succeeded, we got every defense debuff possible on all our Cerberuses and Pazuzu and Maribel, and we cleared exactly with 15 seconds. So you could go with 4 flame DPS, that might be a safer route. Another thing I've heard work decently well is to use Leviathan, because Leviathan can bog the Gust Shroom, and the bog will increase the damage of the rest of your team. But with it being at an elemental disadvantage, really the contribution of a character like Lily in this is going to come largely through her skill damage co-ability and the bog on a Leviathan. In terms of flame characters to use to make up your primary DPS, someone like Mikoto or anyone with the Blade Co ability would be fantastic. You could also use Sanoa for a random buff if you have skill prep at the start of a match, as well as her skill damage Co ability, but I think you'd really want the Chocolatiers to use her ideally. Really though, anyone can work, it just comes down to the dragons and having a strong weapon. You need a ton of strength to take this on, so it is probably one of the harder epithets in the game. Next up though, let's talk about the Violet Ghost. So the Violet Ghost is another easier void battle with a required might of 9,000. It's a shadow element, and it's essentially identical to the Blazing Ghost. If there are any tweaks to its design, I really can't tell. It does afflict curse instead of causing stun though, so I suppose that's a slight change. For this fight, when you clear it, you get materials that can be used to craft new flame-attuned weapons with Blindness Punisher, which is pretty random, but also full HP equals strength of plus 8%, which is decent at least. None of these weapons are particularly meta-defining or influential. I don't think that the 8% strength at full HP is game-breaking or preferred for anyone, so it's not necessary and not recommended that you craft those weapons necessarily, but you're still going to have to beat this boss a certain number of times just for those limited endeavors. In terms of the title for this one, I do think it's much easier. It could be that players just have stronger light teams, but it also makes a big difference that this is only 25 seconds instead of 15 seconds, so that's pretty doable in pubs. If you search for earn epithets, you can also set might conditions if that's something that you're struggling with, finding powerful teammates, or you could hop over onto our Discord and definitely do it there as well. Even without access to Cupid, if all you have is Lindworm, it still should be pretty easy to take this down in my opinion. You want a light adventure with as much strength as possible, basically to keep attacking and get a run where you ensure nobody gets hit and takes a strength debuff, since if you get hit, that will reduce your damage pretty significantly. You want to run Shapeshift Prep again and just transform as soon as possible. Unleash your dragon skill when the boss is broken. That's pretty much the strategy for Violet Ghost, and bonus points if you're using someone like Annalie or even Albert with skill prep. Annalie can basically stun the boss, and multiple Annalies could prevent it from moving or teleporting very much, which can slow your damage output. Albert with 100% skill prep, you could immediately electrify and cast his S1 to deal a ton of damage. So either of those would be powerful options, but really I think any light adventure can work. I used Alphonse. I'm pretty sure you could easily use Halloween Elisan. Really, the only thing to look out for is you don't want any ranged characters in your comp for this, because this ghost, just like the Blazing Ghost before it, has ranged resistance, so ranged adventurers are going to do virtually no damage to it. Now that brings us to the final void boss for today, and that's going to be the Amber Golem. The Amber Golem is a light element golem, and it has a required might of 10,000. It can inflict dull, which greatly decreases your strength. You're basically going to be doing no damage when dull is active, and it also inflicts paralysis. And by defeating this golem, you can craft wind weapons with the Fury Penetrator ability, where once again, there's no content where you want to bring a wind adventurer that you have to worry about the Fury mechanic, which prevents bosses from having their overdrive gauge diminish. So no reason to craft the weapons from this. If you are going for the title, once again, this is one of the easier ones. Just like the Ghost before it, the Violet Ghost, you basically want 4 strong shadow DPS like Ieyasu, Sazanka from the new banner, Veronica from the previous banner, Curran, if you have Curran, he's also on a rate up on this banner. Any of those units would work, Nefaria would even work, and pretty much you want to use your strongest weapon, whether that's a Max Unbound 4-star elemental weapon with a skill, or a 5-star elemental weapon with a skill. A Max Unbound Strength Dragon, even a 4-star Juggernaut would work fine. And you don't want to use a dull res weapon for this. You can pretty much just use a normal weapon, and you just have to fish for that run or practice enough where none of your teammates get hit. The patterns in this fight are predictable, so once you practice, it should be easy to get a run where nobody gets hit. If nobody gets hit, you break the boss, everybody becomes a dragon. You can run Shapeshift Prep to ensure that happens. Then it should be no problem to take on this fight in time. really, I think all of these epithets you want Shapeshift Prep, and the only one that feels like there's some randomness involved where you need a pretty good run to pull it off is going to be that Gust Shroom. Now finally, I will mention two other things about this Void update. We did get some new weapons that we can craft from Void Agni and from Void Zephyr, and a new incentive to actually play those battles, which we don't really know what it does yet. So from Void Zephyr, we can now craft a whole suite of wind weapons with skill prep of 50% and Broken Punisher. Before, that was limited to certain weapons, certain weapon types. We couldn't necessarily craft a bow, a lance, a dagger. I don't remember all of the weapon types that we couldn't craft, but I believe it was those and wand that were missing. But basically now they've just rounded out that cycle, so now I can craft a new wind bow for Eleonora. However, the stats on these are similar to 4-star elementals, so do keep in mind these are weaker weapons. It's just they're easier to craft and they're not gated behind Twinkling Sand, which you only really get by playing events. Now from Void Agni, we actually got some brand new weapons that we didn't have anything like before, which are Flame Element and have full HP equals defense and HP of 70% equals critical rate of 5%. Just like with the Void Zephyr weapons, these aren't the strongest. They're not as strong as the traditional 5-star elementals that cost Twinkling Sand to craft, but they're easier to craft, and the reason you might want to do so along the way is because there's a new drop from both Void Zephyr and from Void Agni called Squishums. So Squishums are this really cute material. It's a golden rarity material. It rarely drops, and it looks kind of like an egg yolk with a face with an expression. I don't really know what to make of it, and even the description for it makes it sound mysterious, but there is speculation that it could have a future use in upgrading adventurers. We know that sometime in June we're getting some type of other way to upgrade adventurers. So right now, that's been the conversation we've had about it on the Discord, where we're thinking maybe that's what it's gonna do, but we really don't know that for sure. As of now, it's just a cute collectible that you'll get along the way, but perhaps if you're interested or think that could be relevant in the future, you know, this is a good time to play those Void battles toward your monthly Void treasure trade, get some Squishums, craft some of those new weapons. I am still gonna make the wind bow for Eleonora just for fun, even if the stats are worse. But yeah, that pretty much covers it for our Void update. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you, and let me know in the comments what you think about all these new Void battles. If you have any tips for other players, feel free to post them there as well. Otherwise, if you need help with anything, ask a question, leave it there, or leave it on the Discord. We'd be happy to help you out. That's gonna do it once again, so thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you next time.